Good afternoon, friends. Steve Benoon here. Today is January 15th, 2026. Things are really heating up. The worship of Israel is really becoming insanely crazy. Things are going on crazy here in the United States. Everything from the police, the ICE, acting like Israeli police now, the way they torture Palestinians has now come to America. On top of that, Trump is once again leading the country into war like he's really become good at. Of course, he campaigns just the opposite, but no president ever does what they say they'll do. They only do what they're told to do. And Trump does exactly whatever Israel says to do, because after all, Miss Adelson keeps giving him millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to say exactly what Israel wants him to say. And so he does it. Let's take a look at this right here. Can you imagine that? This is supposed to be, I assume, a church service, a cross way up in the air above the Star of David on a flag, Israeli flag, on their huge screen there in the backdrop there. I mean, that's worship of Israel. What is it? They worship the star of Molech, their god. I mean, do you really not see that? Have we become that blind because of theology that people just don't understand? And I get it. What happens is that you've been lied to. We've all been lied to through the Schofield Darby lies that crept into the church, crept into all the seminaries, and then put out a bunch of, what do you call it, hirelings. They're not shepherds, they're hirelings. They just hired, they get paid for going out there and spewing all the garbage. That's exactly what you get. I'm going to read here in a little bit, though, right at the closing here, a little clip from this latest article I wrote, and be much deeper into the article, but I am unraveling piece by piece, bit by bit, chapter by chapter, all the lies that we've been told through the Schofield lies there, and showing you how that these prophecies, many of them already fulfilled, and at a depth that maybe you haven't even thought about before. I'm even amazed myself as I write these things. It's like I wonder how in the world do I understand the things that I write. Even Yana, my wife, going through this very similar type of scenarios there as she's writing on her Substack as well. So both Substack, substack.com/Stephen Benoon, what you see above your head. And then, of course, my wife, substack.com /@ Yana Satova, Sutoova. The links will be in the description below. But let's continue in this maniac way of things going on. Israeli Minister Ben-Gvir orders images of the destruction in Gaza to be displayed in prisons, forcing Palestinian prisoners and hostages to see them daily. Yeah, that's what he's done there. He wants them to see what they have done to Gaza. Just another way of torture. So they know for sure just how evil Israel has become. And that's exactly what has happened there. It's become very evil. This is the scenes that we see continually going on. Israel never stops bombing, never stops terrorizing. They just continue over and over and over to the people of Gaza. And this is what, when they worship the Israeli flag, this is what you're supporting: death and murder to innocent people, to women, to children, little babies. Christianity in those areas there, some of the oldest Christian churches were in Gaza and in Lebanon, Syria as well, totally destroyed. All the while you sit there and cheer it on and pray for Israel, and not knowing that God is not for them. In fact, Jesus Christ said there would not be one stone left upon another in Jerusalem with the third temple, or second temple, that is. He said there would not be one stone left upon another. Why? He'd come to crush the serpent's head. He came to try to get them to believe, but when they would not believe, instead, they ended up uh, being more rebellious and killed the very Messiah that was sent to them. Now, the Jewish people today, of course, that's not what they did. But oddly enough, if you remember, Jesus says, when they said, oh, we wouldn't have partaken in the blood of the prophets, And he says, well, your fathers did it. Fill up the measure of your fathers. In other words, they're going to kill him too. They're going to kill the apostles. They would kill off everybody that they possibly could. It's no different today. Your forefathers were involved in the death of Jesus. They were involved in the death of the prophets of their own that had came down through. I mean, Jesus was their own at that time, sent to them to try to help them, to give them life, and instead they killed him. Just like they did with Isaiah, they cut him in half. Other prophets tortured, beat up, killed, murdered, and everything else. Israel has never, ever accepted anything that God has given them. He sends them into exile, trying to bring them around. They were in exile for 70 years before they came back, hoping that they would end up believing that Jesus was the Messiah, which God already knows, right? He does know, right? So here's what goes on as well. This is in Syria, and this is what Donald Trump posts and praises that Syria is such a good nation now. Oh, wow. And they talk about human rights and that they're so good people and everything. And this is the way they treat women over there, right? No different. This is what Israel has done for Syria. This is what the United States has done for Syria. And yet you continue to support it and cheer it right on, right? And then what can you expect though, right? It happens there. Oh, wow. So it happens here too. It's no different. Now it's come to America. Now the police will abuse anybody and anyone at any time. So now we have images like this coming in the U.S. and everything, as this woman here is being brutally attacked, And what gets me is why is America allowing this to happen? Where are the men? Where are the men when all these women are being abused in the way that she is? And she tries to fight back herself, Can't say as I blame her, what the heck? And then he just goes swinging punches on her head, grabs her by her head and throws her down. Is this really what we want in America? Do we want a bunch of Israeli thugs like we have in Israel that are treating Palestinians the way that they do, treating the American people the same way? And this one here, there you go. Here's ice for you. Carrying this woman the way that they're doing.
I am disabled. I have a brain injury.
Stay back.
She tells them she has a brain injury. You think they care? No, ICE doesn't give a flip about what you think. I have a feeling eventually things are not going to go so well in this country. They really won't. I think eventually men are going to have enough of this terrorism that's being carried out on American streets thanks to Israeli involvement.
Investigated what happened. Number one, we measure and track. Number two, we monitor and disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, monitoring extremists. We monitor them online, social media, messaging apps, video games, cryptocurrency, podcasts, short form video, Wikipedia, LLMs. We monitor these people and we share the intelligence with the FBI. You saw.
That's what Israel's doing. They're now policing you and telling our government what to do. Why? Because every Congress and senator you have, practically, with the exception of maybe one or two, are bought off by AIPAC. You sold this country out to Israel. And unfortunately, the Zionist churches that are worshiping the Star of David, the Star of Moloch, their God, you've given into the very same thing that sent the whole house of Israel into exile back 2,800 years ago. You're doing the exact same thing. I mean, this has become completely audacious. And here again, another one here. Young boy that arrest. Little teenager. ICE comes and kidnaps him from his home. Does he look like a terrorist to you? No. The terrorists are in uniform. That's what they've become, terrorists. And some people are starting to rile back and everything because they're sick of it. So they send them out in force, cover their faces. Why? Because they're ashamed of what they're doing. Well, maybe they're not ashamed, but they sure don't want you to see what they are and who they are. So it's disgusting. This country has become disgusting. And under President Trump, it's become really disgusting. He has truly the pimp for Israel. Let's just say it like it is. Also, now he promised never to put you in wars again, but guess what? He is sending another set of warships. Pentagon ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln to carrier strike group to leave South China Sea and head toward the Middle East. So they're getting ready to go to war with Iran. And of course, there are many Iranians that do not like the Ayatollah. So I kind of get that, but it's no right for us to go and attack this country. But we're doing it because Israel said so, and it was the seventh on the list that General Wesley Clark got and revealed back years ago. The seventh one, they got to go take it out. You just got to do it. You can't let that not happen. We got to do it, right? It's really become disgusting. Listen, this is part of the article I wrote on Substack today. It is lengthy, and I apologize for that, but Daniel's vision in the language of fire. Daniel chapter 7 is unique in that it's written not in Hebrew, but in Aramaic. And by the way, that's like from chapter 2, I forget which verse it is, 2 chapter 7, verse 28. All of that is in Aramaic. The rest of it's in Hebrew. And Aramaic is very similar to Hebrew. It uses the same alphabet, but it's got a lot of different nuances, different words in there. So let me just read this little part for you here. Although Aramaic uses the same alphabet as the Second Temple Hebrew, it is a distinct language with its own nuances. This is not accidental, especially given the subject matter of this chapter. Daniel writes, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and the mouth speaking great things. Then the scene shifts dramatically. I beheld 2 thrones were set, and the Ancient of Days did sit. His throne was fiery flames, and the wheels thereof burning fire. Then Daniel says, Nachadanur, Negid, Ve Negat Min Karademachor. A fiery stream is used and came forth from before him. The word translated fire here is Aramaic, it's nur. In Hebrew, we use the word ish. This is not a consuming fire. This is an emanating fire, fire proceeding from the throne, signifying the divine presence, authority, and judgment issuing outward. Thousands minister to him. The court is seated. The books are open. Then Daniel continues. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. And I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to be burned with fire. Here the language changes deliberately from nur to isha, presence to destruction. In Aramaic, Daniel writes, here the word for fire is isha, cognate with the Hebrew ish, a consuming fire. This distinction matters. Nur, fire that issues, radiates, and proceeds from God, and isha, now not like isha, like in the case of the word woman, but isha, still pronounced the same, fire that consumes and terminates and destroys, is the way the Aramaic uses the word fire when it's consuming. And what is destroyed? Not souls, not humanity, but the body, geshama, the embodied system, the manifested power structure of the beast. You see, because what he's talking about in Aramaic is not a human being, it is a system that is going to be consumed with fire. This aligns perfectly with history, the destruction of the temple and the collapse of the conventional system in the days of Jesus Christ. For Jesus said, not one stone shall be left upon another. The embodiment of the priestly power structure is what was destroyed. Fire that does not consume, the burning bush, now, and this is where I'm showing the differences. If you go to the burning bush, not to understand that fire is not always destructive, we return to Exodus chapter 3, because Hebrew uses a word that sounds very similar to the Aramaic word isha. And it says here, Ve'yoreh melech Yehovah Eliyav belibat eish metoch hasanah. Notice the word eish in there, belibat eish. Okay? And it says, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush, out of the middle of the bush. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. Then Moses observes, Ve'hineh hasaneh be'er be'esh ve'hineh Einenu ocher. That is literally without being eaten, is what he's saying there, but it's a fire within it. And behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. The verb ocher means to eat, to consume. The fire is explicitly a non-consuming fire. All right. And then we read, and when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, and God called unto him out of the midst of the bush. This is the key. God dwelt within the fire, and the fire did not consume. Fire in the midst from Eden to Christ. This brings us back to Genesis. As noted earlier, Ish, man, and Isha, woman, both contained Aish, fire. Remove the divine letters Yod, He, and you only fire remains. But when God is in the midst, with God, when God is present, the fire does not destroy. It reveals, it indwells, it gives life. What ultimately led to the destruction of the temple was this very reality. God no longer dwelt in the temple made with hands. Once his presence departed, what had once been a dwelling place of glory became a subject of consuming fire. The Sadducees and Pharisees had rejected the life giving fire of God to be in their midst, and they clung to the structure, law, authority, while rejecting life himself. This rejection reaches its climax at the trial of Jesus when he stands before the high priest and identifies himself with divine authority. Jesus declares, hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. At this, high priest responds, then the high priest rent his clothes, saying he had spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? The tearing of the priestly garment was not merely outrage, it was symbolic rupture. The priesthood itself was fracturing, even as it stood in judgment over the true high priest, Jesus Christ. In that moment, Christ stood at the burning bush once again, the fire of God present in the midst, yet not consuming. The crown of thorns placed upon his head evokes that image unmistakably. Fire encircled by the thorns, God dwelling within, suffering flesh. He was the same God who spoke to Moses from the bush, the same presence Moses received, but this time he was rejected. And God responded. The death of Jesus Christ, the final sign was given, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. There's more that could be said in here. I just encourage you, go join up over there. There's a lot of free articles there, and there are those that are also supported by you that listen to our broadcast. So definitely consider becoming a paid subscriber to help support the writing of the book as well as Jana's. And I'll have both links in the description below for you. And I thank you in advance. God bless you. And please pray for all the souls in the Middle East, both Jew and Gentile alike, both Arabs and Israelis. Those Christians that are suffering the most. Remember, Jesus talked about the ones that came and did the kind things for him. You know, they didn't know it, right? He said, when did we feed you? When did we clothe you? When did we give you shelter? He said, insomuch you do to the least of my little ones, you've done it unto me. When's the last time you helped the Palestinian? When's the last time you prayed for one? When's the last time we tried to do something to help support them? Think about it. Remember the one that was along the wayside, and Jesus, the Samaritan is the only one that ended up helping that man that was beat up and bruised. All the religious class could care less about him. Jesus asked which one did the right thing. Think about it. I'm Stephen, and you're listening to Israeli News Live.